Yangzhou sells anything the rest of the world desires. 9th century China is becoming rich from its exports. But some Tang officials are suspicious of foreigners. They fear dangerous new ideas. Yangzhou city is restricted territory for foreign sailors. The Tang officials act as the middlemen. All deals must go through them. The captain is sequestered in the city. He can't move freely in Yangzhou.
The Chinese had a great distaste at this time for foreign customs. But the more foreigners who came to China to swear loyalty to the emperor, the more this reinforced the idea that the emperor was truly the son of heaven.
The captain, like other Arab merchants, is perhaps both diplomat and businessman. He may be commanded by the Tang court to carry priceless gifts to neighboring kingdoms as tribute. And in exchange, he may be allowed to order rare treasures his clients at home crave. China's porcelain, gold, silver, and spices. The 9th century Western world hungers for the natural bounty of the East. Rare spices such as star anise are desired by the great trading kingdoms of Southeast Asia, such as Java and Sumatra.
Interesting then, when we're diving on the seabed, there was a couple of areas we were actually excavating through a sea of star anise. It's the spice from China, which amazingly survived under the anaerobic sediments.
The captain may sell Chinese spices to Southeast Asia, Asian goods to India, and whatever he can buy along the way to the Middle East. If he stops at every port, he will return home with many riches and stories to tell of his adventures in foreign lands. By October, it is time to leave, as the captain prays for safe passage home. The crew packs the cargo in straw bales and massive jars. Every available inch beneath the deck is crammed with goods for sale. The captain can only hope that the winds will bring him and his men back to the distant Middle East, alive. When the monsoon winds change direction, they blow from the northeast, transporting the dhow away from China towards Indonesia. As on the initial trip, the captain and crew are entirely dependent upon the skills of their navigator. He has a crucial job, with few tools at his disposal. In those long-ago days, there are no magnetic compasses or reliable charts. He must keep the ship's course by visible landmarks and the stars.
They took samples of mud even, at various places. They would look at the mud, they would look at the kinds of birds and sea animals that they caught. They used many different sources of information. So navigation by just the stars is one of the major approaches that they used, but they had lots of other little tricks.
Even as the search continues for a buyer willing to take the entire 60,000-piece collection, each item must be individually desalinated and cleaned. 1,100 years of coral gently removed.
I understood he sold all his belongings to find the financial resources. And I often used to say, any other salvager would have just taken the best pieces, sold them off, and not worried about the whole collection of 60,000 pieces.
Finally, Walter Fang finds the buyer he wants. The government of Singapore promises to buy the entire collection. The price, a reported $32 million US. It is a record sale price in the world of Asian art. The ship's treasures will now be studied as a single collection. The crew of the treasure dhow have gambled everything on the journey home via Indonesia. Why, no one will ever know. But it is a decision that will lead to disaster.
When they got down into Indonesian waters, that's highly unlikely that the skipper or the navigator or both had been travelling throughout the South China Sea, which is very treacherous and relies heavily on local knowledge, the location of all the reefs. It's one thing to say where you want to go and know where you are. It's another thing to know what you're running over.
As the dhow passes Sumatra, it must risk the narrow straits past Belitung Island. Hidden reefs lie everywhere across the slim channel. Even today, fishermen fear the straits.
Along the coastline here, from shore up to 3 miles out, is full of coral reefs everywhere, and so must be pretty dangerous.
The shallow waters require careful maneuvering. With the sun hitting the water or clouds blocking visibility, even a local pilot might miss the reefs.
He may have hugged the coast. Maybe that's what he was doing down the coast of Belitung, hugging the coast to keep away from the reefs that were in the open water. And then you'd stop at night, you wait for the next day, you look up your mast, you hope the sun reflection off the water is not too great, because then you see nothing anyway, and carry on.
The danger here is definitely if you're bad weather or sailing in the night, you just can't see them. If it's raining, you can't see them. Yeah, and if sometimes very, very heavy winds coming up here, and I can imagine that such a heavy loaded vessel was very difficult to navigate through the reefs here, especially in bad weather.
They sail close to the shore, perhaps 3 kilometers off land, to prevent being blown into the shallows. But what the dhow's crew does not know is of another danger, unpredictable and deadly. Was it a sudden storm, so furious and fast, there is no time to escape?
You get these storms further north off Sumatra, they actually call them Sumatras, and they come out of the blue, and they can last for maybe 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours, but they get straight away up to 40 knots. Sometimes you smell it coming. You can actually, smells like damp earth. You don't even have time to take your sails down, and they could just be capsized.
They crossed the reef that was just deep enough for them to get across, but they bounced. The keel, the bottom of each trough of the wave, crashed onto that reef, almost tearing the bottom out of the ship. She keeps going, she's under sail, but rapidly settling into the water.
In this scenario, would the crew have had just minutes to react? The wind may push the dhow towards the reefs. The crew would rush to lower the sails, fighting to slow the ship down. But they are too late. Are the crew, men who have survived the Indian Ocean and the dangers of the Arabian coast, helpless? Is the boat, with its precious cargo and its men, no match for the treacherous bay? The dhow does not even have time to break up. It comes to rest as a whole, 17 meters below the surface. No human remains have survived the millennia under the seas. It's possible that a few men may have fought their way to shore. Their ship, lost to the ages, its secrets hidden to the world by the waters of Belitung for more than 1,000 years to come.
It's almost indescribable, the feat that this vessel has achieved, and the fact that we've now found the archaeological evidence It's not just a text which you can interpret in many ways. It's there on the seabed, full of this stuff. There's no doubt about it.
This marine Silk Route gives our society a real understanding of how societies use constant and changing relationships to learn from each other, to understand each other. This is what has kept societies growing and developing throughout history.
This incredible voyage might have been one of the last of its kind. In the mid-9th century, Tang China is torn apart by internal war. Relations between Muslims and Chinese fall apart. It's possible Arab and Persian ships no longer try to reach China's shores, and direct trade between China and the Arab world ceases. Soon, all that is left are stories of a distant seafaring age. Until today. Now this single vessel gives testimony to one of the ancient world's greatest trading routes, and to the daring men who gave birth to the legend of Sindbad the sailor.